Hello everybody, here is Danny. After riding up and down the stairs from the previous episode, today we turn our attention to the road bikes. This is my new Merida Reacto 6000 2018, which you already know, but today I'm going to share with you my initial thoughts on the components, which is the Shimano Ultegra R-8000. We used to ride the R-6800, now we have R-8000 and we'll see how it works. So far, couple of hundreds of kilometers on the road and about 5 hours on the turbo trainer, which really matters if you are testing the components. I'm gonna tell you why in a second. And so there are 4 things that have surprised me. 3 of those are positive and the 4th one is negative. So let me just show you why is it so. Just so that we make it clear, this is like 90% Shimano Ultegra R-8000. So everything from the shifters through the brakes, both the derailleurs and the crankset, there is Ultegra R-8000, but the chain is from KMC and the cassette is the Shimano 105. Let's start with the shifters. I'm telling you right away, no surprises right here. These were ergonomic on the previous generation and still are ergonomic. Maybe the shaping has been tweaked just a little bit, but still my palms feel so well on the hoods while braking and changing the gears. These are also still dual control, so we use the braking lever for shifting up the cassette to the lower gears. It's called downshifting, like this. And we use the small one to shift the other way, so to the higher gears. One thing that hasn't been improved comparing to the previous generation is something I've mentioned before. If you hit just by accident the larger lever, if you want to use the smaller one, you're gonna miss shift. It's not gonna work. So if you do it like this, it's not gonna work. In the winter, if you have full gloves, you can have this. It's no kind of a failure. It's just like it is for the Shimano dual control shifting levers. I do like those, so no real changes right here. Shimano say that the shifting unit has been changed. I don't really feel any difference in terms of how it feels and how quick and precise it is. These were just good and still are good. And here is the first and positive surprise. I can say surprise because the power of these brakes is really good. It is mostly because of the new design, which is the dual pivot, symmetrical pivot, but also this is the direct mount system. These feel very strong, no sponginess at all, really good brakes. This is really good alternative for the disc brakes actually, so I do like the Ultegra rim brakes. This little lever for opening the space between the braking pads and the wheel, if you remove the wheel, has been moved so that now it just looks very sleek. Some say this is also more aero, so 0.0001 watts saved, but I do like it. If it could be more sleek, why not? It looks like that. I do like it. Really, these brakes will brake for anyone, even if you weigh well over 100 kilograms. These brakes will be just strong enough for you. Now, one thing I don't like so much, but this is not one of these surprises, is the lever for opening the rear caliper brake. It looks like this. It works just fine. You open it like it's it needs some power in your hands. It opens like this. Then the caliper opens up. You can remove the rear wheel and you lock it into place like that. But this unit is just way too big and way too heavy. So it will rattle with your housing. It will wrap your head tube. Not mine, because fortunately the housing doesn't touch the head tube here, but this part of the housing should be longer here, because when I'm going straight, this hits my handlebar and it's really very loud. So if this was the carbon handlebar, that would be even dangerous for your carbon, for the resin, for the whole thing. So this, too big and too heavy. The second and positive surprise is the rear derailleur. Now it looks so good. It is more like the MTB style rear derailleur. It looks badass, I do like it. But the surprise, the positive one, is the spring on it. It is really strong. so that the derailleur is much more stable. You don't maybe need it so much if you go through a super smooth tarmac, but as you know, we are now putting 25C, 28C, 32mm tires, and sometimes we go through some rougher terrain, rougher tarmac even. This will help a lot. So the direct mount on the rear derailleur and really strong spring is something really good. I do like how it operates. It is just good. It just works fine. I'm super happy with it. I must be honest, I don't feel so much difference in how quick it is and how crisp it is on the cassette, changing the gears, because the previous version was already good, but how stable it is, I do like it, so kudos for Shimano for doing that. Alright, now the third and the last positive surprise is the rear derailleur. Actually, just a small detail about it. Can you see the detail? Can you see what's changed? Just look at this. This is so amazing. This is just a small detail, like a plastic cap. You will guide the cable through it, and then you can just lock it on the mounting bolt, like this. Just a moment, and it's done. Maybe you remember you bought a new bike and you start riding the bike and you feel something rubbing you to your right calf, and that's sometimes the cable. Sometimes the cable would rub against the frame, the tire, because it would move with the arm of the front derailleur. Now, when the derailleur moves, the cable will do nothing wrong to the frame, to your legs. It's just so awesome. So remember, people or companies, brands making for us those components, think about details. This is maybe 5 grams more for our bike, but this is so cool. I do love it. I love the details about the components. So this was the third and the last very positive surprise. Alright, so we had 3 positive surprises and the last one, just one, will be negative, but this one is pretty important. That's the shifting performance on the crankset, namely shifting from the smaller to the larger chainring. I don't like it. I feel a lot of resistance on the crank arm while doing this. Let me show you. The chain in the rear is just in the middle, like on the 6th gear right now. And let's just remember, this is the KMC chain. It's not the original Ultegra. It might change the game a little bit, maybe not much, but let's just be honest, this is the KMC chain. So I'm going down, that's okay. And now going up, I feel resistance here, and then it goes. Of course you can do it quickly, but you can see that this is really hesitant on the larger chainring. I'm gonna explain to you in a second why, but if you remember my testing of the Canada Super 6 with the hologram SI crankset, it was way better. So I do like all the components from the Shimano Ultegra, but I would not necessarily like to have the crankset here. Let's try to find the reason for this problem. I'm gonna shift once more from this perspective. Okay. Oh, can you see what happens now? The chain is pretty reluctant of going from the smaller to the larger ring. Once more. All right. Once more. Yeah, it really takes time, so it's not a horrible thing, but it's not as quick as on other chain rings. And the problem for that is that this one is hollow, so it's thicker. Now we can see the difference. This is the regular chainring, the kind of a chainring we would find on most of other brands' cranksets, and this one is hollow. So I think that the Shimano engineers were focusing more on the stiffness of this one rather than the shifting performance. There are some upshifting pins, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and let's just see, just before this pin there is a small groove on this chainring so that the chain will be able to actually be scooped up by this little pin. That means this is just too wide and the chain really slides through the surface of this chainring. This is why the performance of the shifting from the lower or from the smaller to the larger chainring isn't that good as on other cranksets. So this is what I think. This is what I think about the Shimano Ultegra R-8000 Groupset. I do like it, except for the crankset. I would really consider upgrading my bike with other crankset. Ideally, that would be Cannondale Hologram SI. Otherwise, I love the shifters, I love the brakes. This little thing on the front derailleur is lovely. Please tell us, dear cycling fellows, what do you think about this Groupset? If you have it on your bike, maybe you're gonna have some other suggestions to us. I'm really looking forward to meet you down there in the comments. See you soon. Bye bye.